On this episode of China Uncensored, forget the stock market bubble. This is China's incredible bike share bubble. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. The good old bicycle. That trustworthy two-wheeled iron steed. So whether you're out for some fresh air and exercise, taking your kid to school, or grabbing some fast food at McDonald's, bikes in China, like marriage, go together like a horse and carriage. Unfortunately, thanks to a bubble in dock-free bike sharing, that relationship has turned toxic. So on today's episode of China Uncensored, let's look at how China's bike sharing program has become a complete disaster. One giant difference between China's bike sharing and what you're used to in the US is docking. For bike sharing in, say, San Francisco or New York, you have to pick them up from a dock and return them to a dock. And you can unlock a bike with a physical key or a mobile app. The benefits are that it's easy for the city governments to keep them tidy in designated places, and it's easy for the bike share companies to track them and use vans to move bikes around to where they're needed most. But there's a last mile problem. That is, there are only so many docks, and if there's no dock within about a mile of where a person wants to start or end their trip, they're simply not going to use the bike share. Sorry everyone who lives in the Bronx. But in China, cities have a cure for this last mile problem: dockless bikes. Thanks to GPS chips in every bike, you can just unlock one using your mobile app. And when you're done, leave it wherever you want. And I mean, wherever you want. Sometimes the cure can be worse than the disease. This is a photo of the entrance to a park in the city of Shenzhen, where, as you can see, people ride shared bikes right up to the entrance and then just throw them on top of the ginormous pile of other bikes before going inside to enjoy the scenery. China's dockless bike sharing industry grew like mad in recent years thanks to the brilliant combination of cutthroat competition and no government regulation. There's now about 500 or so competing dockless bike sharing companies in China, each desperate to win market share by filling cities with their bikes, with the idea being that if their bike is on top of that pile, people will choose their brand over competitors. With no limits to the number of companies that could operate in a given region or to the number of bikes, this led to unsightly clutter and crippling choice anxiety. I think she's realized she's just better off walking that last mile. Two of the biggest bike sharing startups in China are Ofo and Mobike. Between them, they've got more than 120 million registered users and more than 13 million bikes piling up in Chinese cities. And what made it all possible is billions of dollars in venture capital. Ofo, with its trademark canary yellow bikes, has raised at least $1.3 billion in investment across 5 rounds of funding. And Mobike recently got $600 million in its latest funding round, bringing its market cap to about $1 billion. And these companies with 10-figure market valuations are locked in a cash-burning race to dominate market share by pumping out bikes as fast as possible, keeping the prices as low as possible, and stacking them in the streets as high as possible. To deal with this, some cities have started sending crews out to impound shared bikes, which makes sense. This cyclist has to ride in the street with cars because the bike lane has turned into a bike pile. Here's a series of photos from a Shanghai bicycle impound lot, which thousands upon thousands upon thousands of bikes now call home. Fortunately, there's still space in Shanghai to plant huge fields of colorful flowers. No, it's more bikes, and more bikes, and more bikes, and more bikes! But at least there's been some pushback lately. For example, after Shanghai realized it had 1.5 million shared bikes, that's one for every 16 residents, it started to say enough is enough. On August 18th, the Shanghai Transportation Bureau ordered bike share companies to stop adding more bikes to the streets. There's also a proposal in China to punish people who park badly and misuse shared bikes. And if anyone is good at monitoring and punishing its citizens, it's the Chinese government. According to the National Interest, their surveillance technology can scan the entire population in 1 second. I know it might feel like 1984 meets Terminator meets Premium Rush, but If it'll prevent people from leaving heaps of shared bikes all over the place, it'll be totally worth it. Or, and I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out, instead of punishing individual citizens, the government could step in to design and implement thoughtful policies to make sure the bike-sharing companies act responsibly. Just kidding. It's way easier to just punish people. So what do you think about China's bike-sharing disaster? Leave your comments below. And now it's time when I answer a question from you, one of my 50 Cent Army supporters who contributed to China Uncensored on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Primo asks, one thing I've been wondering is, have you ever thought of going to being more serious, or do you think the satirical way of the show is the way it should be? Good question. So I started China Uncensored back in 2012. Before that, I was covering China, but in a straight news kind of way. And I'm sorry to say, I found nobody really cared. Which bothered me, because I knew China is a really important country and was having a big impact on our lives in the United States. This was also around the time the Communist Party started building those artificial islands in the South China Sea and claiming that it proved it was their territory. I found I couldn't keep a straight face saying, the Chinese government has started to build fake islands and are claiming it as ancient Chinese territory. No, that's absolutely redonkulous. So I created China Uncensored with the tone it has because that's the only way I felt I could really say what I wanted to say about the Chinese Communist Party. And over the years, I found using satire has actually helped bring a larger audience to China news and politics. And be honest, if all I did was straight news reporting, would you still be watching? Thanks for your question, Primo. And if you'd like me to answer your question, join up in the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army. And for only $1 or more per episode, we'll give you some cool perks, and you'll have the chance to send me questions that I could answer right here on the show. So head over to patreon.com/China Uncensored to learn more. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.